You may procrastinate cleaning your attic, but what if I tell you that you can find valuable stuff? I mean, your childhood blanket surely has a memory, but I'm talking about items that can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's wipe the dust on the boxes and see what we can dig out. The first one is comic books. If you're a fan of comic books, you don't forget them in the attic. But if not, you probably didn't know you had them before, especially if they belonged to your parents. In 2014, an auction of the first comic in which Superman appeared got $3,207,852. I'm guessing that after the auction, the seller's all-time favorite superhero becomes Superman. Oh, and to figure out how to identify which comic is valuable, take a quick surf on the web. Technological items are probably one of the most forgotten things in attics and basements. Anything from an old radio to electronic music equipment. For instance, old-school typewriters from brands like Remington or Hermes can fetch you hundreds of dollars. The number varies depending on the version, whether it's working or not, and the color. Colors like turquoise or pink are rare, so they're likely to be worth more. An orange 1969 Hermes sold for $750 on eBay. Let's say you found an old pair of sneakers or an amp and think no one would want them. Well, think twice. There are people willing to pay hundreds of dollars for that stuff if they're vintage. A vintage Sennheiser mic sold for almost $160, and it wasn't even working. Old film cameras are also friends of your wallet. If you have the lenses, tripod bag, or other accessories, your chances of having a small fortune are high. An M6 Leica with its box sold for around $5,000. 3, 2, 1. Say cheese! Video game consoles and games from the 80s can help you big time, especially if they're unused or rare editions. For instance, an unopened copy of Super Mario Bros. From 1985 sold for $114,000 at auction. Who would have thought? Number 6 is vinyl records. Vinyl collectors are known for their passion for collecting rare records. Most vinyl lovers prefer to have a listening experience on good condition copies of their favorite songs. So your chances are high if your parents' vinyl records from the 60s are in good shape. Not just technological stuff pays off. Though there are many things you wouldn't expect to be worth money, they actually are. The first example is dolls. These playthings of sweet past years may be forgotten in your grown-up world, but let's get back to the past. Doll collectors are willing to hand over major money for the right doll. I mean, a 1959 original Barbie sold for $27,450 at the auction. But of course, that's an exception. You can earn around $400 for American Girl dolls or its sorts. If you don't have any of the items on my list, just don't give up yet. Collectible cards in general are very popular. Let's start with Pokemon. The first edition Han Solo thick stamp shadowless Charizard sold for around $350,000. The lucky owner doesn't have to catch them all. Don't have Charizards in your collection? Well, other cards of popular favorites like Pikachu are worth money too. Not all first editions, however, have that much value. Horsea or similar ones will get you around $300. There's also sports trading cards like baseball cards and Magic the Gathering cards. They also vary by condition and rarity. What about shoes? If you're lucky, certain sneakers in the back of your closet may put more cash in your bank account. An example would be Air Jordans. The first sneaker designed for Michael Jordan was produced in the mid-80s. If you found one of those sneakers, they could be worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars, depending on the model and condition. Similarly, a pair of 1972 Nike running shoes, known as the Moon Shoe, sold for a record $437,500. Now, there are some pieces that you'll likely find at your grandparents' house, such as Murano glass objects. The colorful glass objects are valuable because they're handmade and they're from Italy. These were common tourist souvenirs. The everyday use objects like ashtrays and candy dishes can sell for a couple $100s, while sculptures will sell for a few hundred to a few thousand. Number 11 is postage stamps. At the time they were bought, they cost less than $1, but now you can earn a huge amount for the right one. One stamp from 1849 was sold for $99,100. You could be walking on a gold mine if you have some antique rugs like a family relic. If your grandparents have old Turkish or Persian rugs with high quality and craftsmanship, it can earn you hundreds of dollars. A carpet was sold for $33.7 million. Furniture from the mid-century design period is lit. The furniture from the decades between 1933 to 1965 can be worth a lot of money. You may not make much use of an old couch, but someone else sure can. Mid-century modern furniture is in high demand today. Furniture, decor, and art are all valuable. It looks like it'll be trendy soon. How about action figures? 80s action figures are also a hit. Action figures and playsets of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe are among the most valuable. If you don't want to keep them to yourself and earn extra bucks, you would probably be happy to hear that the Eterna playset, circa 1986, went for more than $7,000 on eBay. First edition books are pretty valuable too, as you can guess. Some first edition books sell for $1 million. Of course, not all books cost this much, but keep an eye on them before you donate the books you couldn't keep. Speaking of donations, in 2015, a person in the US donated an old computer. There was one minor thing there. The model was a super rare first-generation Apple computer. Plus, it was worth $200,000. Yeah, too valuable to be recycled. It was one of the original 200 Apple I computers built by Steve Wozniak in 1976. The person found the computer along with a bunch of other old technology while cleaning out the garage and donated them all together. The waste management company then sold the computer to a museum. Interestingly, the company looked for the person who donated the computer because they didn't leave any details or ask for a receipt. This mysterious person has a check worth $100,000 waiting for them. One Reddit user says they found just over 200 grams of gold powder while cleaning out their grandfather's attic. Sometimes the valuable things come untouched. Do you think posters are valuable? Yes, the value of a poster depends on how famous the poster is and, of course, how much it means to people. An original Wizard of Oz movie poster in good condition sold for $108,000 in 2019. Colorful Pyrex dishes from the mid-20th century are favorites of vintage lovers. If you have one of those opaque soda lime glasses in pastel shades with interesting patterns, it's your lucky day, especially if the design hasn't been scratched. The holy grail of the Pyrex world are pieces featuring the Lucky in Love pattern. They were produced only in 1959, so they can cost thousands of dollars. Another interesting item is lunchboxes and thermoses that schoolgoers used in the 1950s and 1960s. They generally have colorful cartoon characters, TV show heroes, or big-name bands. For example, the Jetsons-themed lunchbox and its matching thermos sold for $1,650 on eBay. We get used to checking the time on our phones or smartwatches, but it wasn't always the case. If you have a small wall or desk clock from the 1930s or 1940s, you could trade it for a four-figure bill. Does this list convince you to spend a weekend in your garage or attic? Would you sell those or keep them as family memoirs?
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.